The days of being hurt, used, and broken are over. If you decide they are. No one is coming to save you. Nobody's going to wipe your tears and rebuild your mind. That's on you. But I'm here to tell you something that'll change your life if you actually listen. Nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again once you take control. When you think pain makes you weak, wrong. Pain is proof you survived. You're still standing. You've taken hits most people would crumble under, but you're still breathing. That makes you dangerous. But here's the truth. People only hurt you when you let them. They hurt you when you hand over your emotions. You gave away your power every time you needed validation, every time you let words affect you, every time someone betrayed you and you fell apart. That ends now. Control your mind and you control your world. Most people are slaves to emotion, walking targets, begging for sympathy. But when your mind is sharp, when you're locked in and disciplined, nobody gets in. They can knock, scream, insult, lie, cheat, but your gates are closed. Not because you're cold, but because you're unshakable. You're not here to be soft. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected. And respect doesn't come to the fragile. Respect comes to the one who looks the world in the face and says, "You will not break me." You want peace? Then become someone people don't want to make war with. That's how you stay untouched. By being someone they can't touch. And those wounds from your past, those betrayals, heartbreaks, failures, don't hide them, wear them like armor. That pain sculpted you. Let every scar remind you that you've already survived hell. So why would you ever fear it again? You don't need closure. You don't need apologies. You don't need people to understand. You need to decide, I will never be hurt like that again. Because now, you're not the victim anymore. You're the one who walks into rooms and shifts the energy. You're the one who speaks and others listen. You're the one who knows exactly who they are and exactly what they'll never allow again. You're the storm. You're the hammer. You are the standard. So burn the weakness, kill the excuses, and rise. Nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again because now you refuse to let them. Pain is one of the most misunderstood things in life. Most people try to run from it. They try to numb it, avoid it, or pretend it didn't happen. But the truth is, pain is the greatest teacher you'll ever have. Every time someone lied to you, betrayed you, left you when you needed them the most, or tried to tear you down with words or actions, that was pain knocking at your door, trying to wake you up. The problem is people waste that pain. They sit in it. They let it consume them. They let it define them. That's the mistake. Pain isn't here to destroy you. It's here to sharpen you. When you were at your lowest, when you thought you couldn't keep going, that's when your real strength was tested. Pain puts pressure on your soul like weights in a gym. And just like in training, the ones who grow are the ones who push through the resistance. They don't cry and stop. They use the pain to become stronger. That moment when you were betrayed, it taught you to spot disloyalty. That time you were humiliated, it taught you to keep your guard up. That heartbreak, it showed you that your emotions, if left unchecked, can destroy you. That failure, it revealed where you got lazy or arrogant. Pain tells you the truth. It doesn't care about your feelings. It shows you exactly what needs to change. Weak people complain about pain. They blame the world, their past, their parents, their ex, their boss, the government. They make excuses. But excuses don't build warriors. Pain does. And warriors are the ones who take every hit, every failure, every loss, and build from it. They look at the pain and say, thank you, because they know that if it wasn't for the pain, they would still be soft, still naive, still weak. Pain forced them to evolve. Every time life hits you, it's testing you. Are you going to break or are you going to adapt? Most people stay broken. They live in fear, trying to avoid pain at all costs, which is why they stay average. But you, if you want to be untouchable, if you want to make sure nothing and nobody ever hurts you again, you need to embrace pain, study it, master it, let it fuel you, let it harden you, let it build that fire inside you that never goes out. When you stop seeing pain as the enemy and start seeing it as your greatest coach, everything changes. You stop being afraid, you stop being fragile, you stop being emotional, you stop caring about petty opinions, disrespect, or setbacks. You stand tall and face everything head on because you know pain didn't break you, it built you. It prepared you for everything the world will throw at you next. Control is everything. Without it, you're just a puppet pulled by the strings of other people's actions, words, and opinions. The reason most people get hurt again and again is because they have no control over themselves. They react emotionally to everything. Someone says something disrespectful and they explode. Someone leaves them and they break down. Someone lies to them and they spiral. That's weakness. Real strength comes from mastering your emotions. You can't control the world. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond. That's where the power is. When you react without thinking, you're handing your power over to someone else. You're telling them, you get to control how I feel, how I think, what I do. That mindset makes you a target. It makes you easy to manipulate. But when you take full control of your thoughts and actions, nobody has that power over you. The world respects people who are in control, not the ones who cry over every insult or lose their mind over every problem. The ones who stay calm under pressure. The ones who keep moving no matter what chaos surrounds them. That kind of control makes you dangerous. Because people can't read you. They can't predict you. They don't know what will get to you. Because nothing gets to you. You've trained your mind to remain focused no matter what. Control also means discipline. You don't let your emotions make decisions for you. You don't chase temporary feelings. You don't fall into traps because of fear, anger, jealousy, or desire. You think long term. You calculate, you keep your standards. You protect your peace. You decide who gets access to you. Most people let anyone walk into their life and affect their energy. That's why they keep getting hurt. They're open to everything. But when you're in control, you don't allow just anyone to come close. You guard your energy like it's treasure, because it is. This level of control doesn't happen overnight. It takes training. Every time you feel the urge to react, you resist it. Every time you feel the need to explain yourself to someone who doesn't matter, you remain silent. Every time you feel weakness creeping in, you remind yourself who you are. You remind yourself of everything you've survived, everything you built. You stay grounded in your purpose, not your emotion. And slowly that control becomes natural. It becomes your armor. When you're in control, people can try to hurt you, but they fail. Because their power lies in your reaction. And when you give them nothing, they're powerless. They can throw chaos your way, but you stay calm. They can try to bait you, but you don't bite. They can try to break you, but you remain steady. Control gives you freedom. Control gives you strength. Control is the reason you rise while others fall. Weakness is like blood in the water. It attracts sharks. When you walk through life showing hesitation, insecurity, emotional instability, or fear, you give the world permission to target you. People might not even do it consciously, but they sense it. It's in your posture, your tone, your silence, your inability to speak up, your need for approval. That energy tells the world that you're easy to manipulate, easy to use, easy to break. And when people see weakness, they test boundaries. They push limits. They start to take from you. Your time, your energy, your confidence. It happens in relationships, in business, even in friendships. Weakness invites predators because it tells them there will be no consequences. The truth is, people only respect strength. They might sympathize with weakness, but they don't respect it. And in a world that runs on power, being respected is more important than being liked. People are not going to treat you fairly just because you're kind or because you mean well. That's a lie you've been told. The world respects what it fears. The world respects what it can't control. That's why strength must become your default setting. Not fake confidence, not arrogance. Real strength that comes from discipline, awareness, and experience. Strength that says, I've been through hell and I'm still standing. Don't test me. This doesn't mean walking around looking for fights or acting cold. It means you move with certainty. You speak with clarity. You don't beg for validation. You know your worth and you show it through action, not words. You set standards and you enforce them. You have boundaries and people know not to cross them. That energy is what keeps the wrong people away. The stronger you become, the less you have to deal with disrespect. Not because the world becomes nicer, but because it knows better than to try you. And when people do try, they learn quickly that you're not the same person they've walked over in the past. You don't break down when things go wrong. You don't chase people who don't see your value. You don't fall apart over setbacks or insults. You've turned your pain into armor. You've turned your losses into lessons. You've turned your fear into focus, and that evolution makes you untouchable. Most people try to avoid conflict because they're scared. But when you're strong, you don't fear confrontation, you just rarely need it. People feel your presence. They know you're not someone to play with. That's what real power looks like. It's silent, it's controlled, and it's undeniable. You weren't put on this earth to be stepped on, walked over, or used. You were built to rise. You were built to lead. But to do that, you have to kill weakness. You have to remove every excuse, every apology for who you are. Weakness is not a flaw, it's a choice. And the second you choose strength, the world will treat you differently. Respect doesn't come from asking politely, being nice, or hoping others will see your worth. It comes from power. In this world, if you're not strong, you get ignored, disrespected, used, or replaced. People only respect what they can't control. If you're too worried about being liked, you'll get walked over every time. The truth is, being liked is useless if it comes at the cost of your self-respect. You don't win by begging for peace. You win by becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to ask for it because no one dares to bring war to your doorstep. You earn respect by the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you move. You earn it through discipline, consistency, and presence. You walk into a room and people feel something different. They know you're not someone they can talk down to, manipulate, or disrespect. Not because you yell or act tough, but because your energy tells them you're in control. They see that you don't tolerate nonsense, that your time is valuable, that you don't explain yourself to people who don't matter. That kind of power is magnetic. It makes people think twice before crossing you. When you're powerful, peace becomes a byproduct. You don't need to run around fixing problems caused by weak boundaries. You don't get caught up in drama, betrayal, or disrespect. People learn to respect you, or they remove themselves from your space. Either way, you win. And if someone still decides to test you, you respond with strength, not emotion. You don't get emotional when someone tries to get under your skin. You don't beg people to treat you right. You show them that you don't need them. That's how you set the standard. It's not about being feared for no reason. It's about being respected because you've made it clear you don't tolerate nonsense. You don't react to every little thing. You don't argue with fools. You don't defend your position to people who don't add value. Your power comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you will never allow again. And once people understand that, they either fall in line or fall away. Weak people try to keep peace by avoiding conflict. Strong people create peace by being too solid to provoke. That's why people who chase approval always get hurt. They bend, they shrink, they say yes when they want to say no, and they wonder why no one takes them seriously, because they've never stood for anything. Respect doesn't come from silence, it comes from certainty. When people know you won't tolerate games, they stop playing them. When they know you'll walk away without a second thought, they stop taking you for granted. That's the power of being strong. You don't force peace, you command it. You don't ask for respect, you become someone who doesn't live without it. Your past is not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to hide or erase. It's your greatest source of power. Everything that tried to break you, everything that went wrong, everything that hurt you, those moments shaped you into who you are now. People spend so much time wishing their past was different, trying to forget it, acting like it didn't happen. But what they don't realize is that the pain, the setbacks, the disappointments, and the betrayals were all necessary. Without them, you wouldn't be strong. Without them, you wouldn't be aware. Without them, you wouldn't know what to look out for. Your past gave you the tools to survive and win, even if you didn't see it at the time. When you were broken, when you felt lost, when the world turned its back on you, that's when your real character was built. You didn't fall apart. You made it through. You might have crawled, but you didn't quit. You might have cried, but you didn't give up. And that says something about you. That says you're not weak. That says you have the ability to handle what most people can't. That experience gave you an edge. It gave you awareness. It gave you grit. Now, when someone tries to manipulate you, you recognize the signs. When someone lies, you can feel it. When someone tries to play games, you already know how it ends. Your past didn't destroy you, it trained you. Every mistake taught you what not to tolerate. Every heartbreak taught you what real value looks like. Every failure revealed a part of yourself you needed to level up. All those low moments were not wasted. They were lessons. And now you carry that knowledge with you. It's in your decisions, it's in your silence, it's in the way you protect your energy and set your boundaries. You're not who you were back then. You've evolved. You've outgrown the version of yourself that allowed that kind of pain in the first place. People will try to remind you of your past to keep you small, to make you feel like you haven't changed. But you don't owe anyone an explanation for who you used to be. You're not that person anymore. The mistakes, the losses, the regrets, they don't define you. What defines you is how you came back from it all. How you turned every piece of pain into power. That's what makes you dangerous now. You're not naive anymore. You're not easily fooled. You've seen the worst and kept going. You've walked through hell and made it out stronger. There's nothing more powerful than someone who owns their past and uses it. That kind of mindset makes you unstoppable. You no longer fear being hurt again because you already faced it and learned from it. You no longer fear the unknown because you've already conquered chaos. Your past isn't a weakness. It's your proof that no matter what comes next, you're already built for it. You've spent too long waiting for someone to protect you, defend you, or save you from the chaos around you. You waited for the apology that never came, the support that never showed up, the loyalty that never lasted. But that mindset ends now. You're not the victim anymore. You're the weapon. You're the force that moves through life on your own terms. People who live as victims never get far. They're always looking outside of themselves for safety, for answers, for approval. They give away control. They blame everyone else for how they feel, and they stay trapped in cycles of weakness. But once you flip the switch and realize you are the protector, not the one needing protection, everything changes. Being the weapon means you're not just ready to fight back, you're built to dominate. Not through violence or noise, but through presence, through discipline, through action. You don't beg people to stay. You don't plead for kindness. You don't ask for respect. You demand it through who you are. The way you walk, the way you look people in the eye, the way you speak, the way you remain composed when others fall apart. That's power. That's what being the weapon looks like. No panic, no fear, just complete control of who you are and what you allow. Victims crumble when life gets tough. Weapons sharpen under pressure. You've been tested already. You've seen betrayal, failure, disappointment, and pain, and yet here you are, still breathing, still pushing forward. That means you got something inside you that doesn't quit. That's the core of your power. Not avoiding the fight, but knowing you'll survive it. Not dodging the blows, but standing up and taking them if you have to, and still moving forward with focus and clarity. You don't need people to feel sorry for you. You don't need to explain your scars. You carry them like a badge. They show that you've survived things most people couldn't handle. That's why you don't need validation anymore. You validate yourself. You look in the mirror and know exactly who you are. You know what you've overcome. You know what you're capable of. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can shake that kind of confidence because it's earned, not given. From this point on, you act with purpose. Every move you make is calculated. Every word you speak carries weight. Every decision is based on strength, not fear. You don't fold under pressure. You rise. You lead. And when people see you, they know they're not dealing with someone ordinary. They're dealing with someone forged by pain, focused by failure, and driven by something deeper than comfort or approval. You don't walk into situations wondering if you'll be hurt. You walk in knowing that whatever happens, you'll handle it. You've become too strong to be broken, too aware to be fooled, too solid to be shaken. You're not waiting to be saved. You've become the one that others watch, fear, and follow. That's what happens when you stop being the victim and become the weapon. The world doesn't care about your feelings. It only responds to power. And power doesn't come from pretending to be strong. It comes from earning it through pain, control, discipline, and self-respect. You've been hurt, you've been tested, you've been betrayed, but you're still standing. That means you already have what it takes to make sure nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Because you stop waiting for someone to protect you and become the one who protects yourself. You become untouchable by mastering your emotions, eliminating weakness, commanding respect, using your past as fuel, and stepping into the mindset of a weapon, not a victim. From this moment forward, You don't ask for peace, you enforce it. You don't seek validation, you embody power. You don't fear pain, you welcome it as a tool. Nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again, not because they won't try, but because now they can't.